Chosen one, listen very carefully because what you are about to hear is not meant to entertain you, it is meant to awaken you. If this message feels intense, if it feels personal, if it feels like it is speaking directly into your life, that is because it is. You did not arrive here randomly. You were guided here deliberately. God does not waste timing, and He does not misplace His chosen. There is a reason your heart stopped for a second when you read this title. There is a reason you feel a strange mix of curiosity, caution, and hope right now. God is preparing you for your soulmate, and this person is not just someone you will love. This person is your future spouse. And before you dismiss that as imagination or emotion, I need you to stay with me, because the signs I'm about to reveal are not emotional signs, they are spiritual ones. They are patterns God uses consistently, and once you see them, you cannot unsee them. You may have noticed that recently your spirit has been unusually still. Not bored, not numb. Still. The chaos that once lived in your chest has quieted in a way you didn't force. You didn't fix yourself. You didn't distract yourself. It simply settled. That is not random. God never prepares a heart for union by stirring anxiety. He prepares it by establishing peace. Peace is always the first sign. Before God brings your future spouse, He removes emotional turbulence, because love built on unrest cannot last. And if you think back honestly, there was a time when the idea of love made you anxious, desperate, or restless. You wanted it quickly. You feared missing it. You questioned yourself because of it. That version of you is fading. Not because you stopped desiring love, but because God healed the fear attached to it. Another sign is that you are no longer chasing connection the way you used to. Attention no longer excites you the same way. Compliments no longer hook you. Flirting without depth now feels empty. You still want companionship, but you don't want confusion. You don't want games. You don't want half-hearted effort. That shift didn't come from disappointment alone. It came from preparation. God does not bring a spouse into a heart that still confuses attention with love. He waits until clarity replaces craving. And clarity has been growing quietly in you. You may have also noticed that God has been pruning your life in ways that felt unnecessary at first. Certain people drifted away without drama. Some conversations stopped without explanation. Some doors closed even though you didn't ask for them to. And strangely, instead of devastation, you felt relief. That relief is one of the clearest signs that God is separating you from distractions before connecting you to covenant. God always clears space before He fills it. He does not add on top of clutter. He subtracts first. And yes, subtraction can feel like loss, but in divine timing, it is alignment. There is also this internal shift in how you see relationships. You no longer romanticize potential. You no longer imagine who someone could become if they changed. You see what is, not what might be. That is discernment. And discernment is required before marriage. God will not allow His chosen to enter covenant while still blinded by hope instead of truth. The person He is preparing for you will not require you to ignore red flags, silence your intuition, or negotiate your values. That is why God sharpened your discernment first. You see clearer now because you need to. Another sign is that your standards have risen, but not out of pride, out of peace. You are not demanding perfection. You are simply unwilling to tolerate misalignment. You know it disrupts your spirit now, and you no longer call it love. That wisdom was earned. It came from seasons where you learned the hard way. God allowed those lessons not to harden you, but to protect you. Because your future spouse is not meant to heal wounds you refuse to acknowledge. They are meant to walk beside someone who knows themselves. You may also feel unusually drawn to order lately. You want your life cleaner, calmer, more intentional. You are organizing not just your space, but your thoughts, your habits, your priorities. This is not coincidence. God prepares marriage by stabilizing the individual first. Disorder invites stress. Stability invites partnership. The fact that you are becoming more intentional with your time and energy is a sign that God is aligning you for shared responsibility. Marriage is not romance alone. It is stewardship. And God only entrusts stewardship to prepared hands. Another sign many overlook is emotional regulation. You don't spiral the way you used to. You don't react immediately. You pause. You process. You choose your words more carefully. That emotional maturity is not accidental. Love that lasts requires emotional stability, not intensity. God is teaching you to respond instead of react because your future spouse will need safety, not volatility. This is preparation. You may have also noticed that God has slowed you down. Things that once moved quickly now move deliberately. You are no longer rushing decisions. You are no longer forcing outcomes. You are learning to wait without resentment. That patience is essential. Marriage is not sustained by excitement. It is sustained by consistency. And patience is the soil where consistency grows. God is not testing you to frustrate you. He is training you to last. There is also a subtle shift in your prayers. You are no longer begging God to send someone. You are asking Him to prepare you. That change matters. God listens closely to prayers of alignment. When your prayers shift from urgency to trust, it signals readiness. God does not bring a spouse to someone who will idolize the relationship. He brings a spouse to someone who honors God above the union. And that posture has been forming in you quietly. Another sign is that you feel protected from impulsive decisions. Plans fall through. Opportunities cancel. Conversations end abruptly. At first it feels inconvenient, but later you realize how much you were spared. That is God guarding your heart. Before covenant, protection increases. God becomes very intentional about what He allows access to you. He knows what is coming, and He refuses to let anything contaminate it. You may also feel a strange sense of expectancy without anxiety. You're not searching, but you are open. You're not waiting passively, but you're not forcing movement. That balance is rare. It only forms when trust replaces fear. God brings spouses together when both hearts are anchored, not scanning. This posture tells heaven that you are ready to receive without clinging. Another sign is forgiveness. You are releasing resentment not because people apologized, but because you no longer want to carry emotional weight into your future. God cannot build something new on unresolved bitterness. Forgiveness clears the ground. And if you've noticed that old wounds no longer define your reactions, that is not time alone. That is healing. And healing precedes union. You may also notice that your energy has changed. People respond to you differently. Conversations feel deeper. You are more present, less reactive, more grounded. That grounded energy is essential for marriage. Chaos attracts chaos. Stability attracts stability. God is aligning you with someone who will recognize this immediately, not someone who will test it. Another sign is that you no longer fear missing out. You are not comparing timelines. You are not watching everyone else's life and assuming you are behind. That freedom is a sign that scarcity has left your heart. Love cannot thrive in scarcity. God waits until abundance thinking replaces lack. And abundance is not about having everything. It is about trusting God with what you don't yet have. You may also feel that God is protecting you from emotional attachments. You are not easily impressed, you are not easily pulled, you are anchored. Anchoring is required before union. God does not connect drifting hearts. He connects grounded ones. And here is one of the strongest signs of all. You feel ready, not because you feel lonely, but because you feel whole. You don't need someone to complete you. You want someone to walk with you. That distinction is everything. God does not send spouses to fill voids. He sends them to multiply wholeness. When you reach this place, preparation entered its final stages. Chosen one, God is not teasing you. He is not delaying you out of cruelty. He is not ignoring your desire. He is preparing something sacred. Your future spouse is not arriving to disrupt your peace. They are arriving to protect it. They are not coming to confuse you. They are coming to confirm what God has already been doing in you. And when they arrive, it will not feel chaotic. It will feel familiar in the safest way. Calm, clear, grounded. That is how you will know this person is not just a soulmate, but your spouse. If your spirit has been nodding quietly through this message, if something in you feels settled instead of stirred, that is your confirmation. You are not waiting aimlessly. You are being aligned intentionally. And God does not prepare hearts like this without purpose. What is coming will meet you in peace, not pressure. Chosen one, stay with me, because what I am about to speak now goes deeper than reassurance. This is not surface-level encouragement. This is spiritual truth that explains why your life has been unfolding the way it has, and why the connection God is preparing for you is not ordinary love, but covenant. God does not prepare spouses the way the world prepares relationships. He prepares them through fire, through silence, through obedience, and through surrender. And if you have survived seasons that felt heavier than necessary, more lonely than reasonable, and more refining than fair, it is because God was not shaping you for temporary companionship. He was shaping you for a lifelong union that carries purpose, responsibility, and spiritual weight. You need to understand this clearly. God never sends a future spouse into a life that is still ruled by fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of being unchosen. Fear creates attachment, and attachment distorts love. So God waits. And while He waits, He removes fear layer by layer. That is why you have been confronted with yourself. That is why distractions stopped working. That is why emotional shortcuts lost their appeal. God allowed you to sit with your thoughts, your patterns, your wounds, not to shame you but to heal you. Because marriage does not hide what is broken, it exposes it. And God loves you too much to let exposure happen without preparation. You may not realize it, but God has been teaching you how to love without losing yourself. In the past, love may have felt like overgiving, over-explaining, over-functioning. You poured until you were empty and called it loyalty. You stayed when you should have walked away and called it commitment. God has been dismantling that mindset, quietly, firmly, lovingly. Now you understand that love does not require self-erasure. Love does not require suffering. Love does not require chasing. This understanding is not random. It is essential. Because the person God is preparing for you will not take advantage of your kindness. They will honor it. And God had to make sure you would no longer tolerate being mishandled. Another sign of preparation is that God has been reshaping your identity. You are no longer defined by who chose you or who left you. Your sense of worth is becoming internal, not external. You do not need constant reassurance to feel secure. You do not collapse when someone pulls away. You do not panic when silence appears. That emotional stability is not accidental. It is required. A marriage built on reassurance seeking becomes exhausting. God is preparing you to stand emotionally so that when your spouse leans, you can support them without resentment. And when you lean, they can support you without fear. You may have also noticed that God has been exposing your triggers, not to overwhelm you, but to heal you. Situations that once sent you spiraling now reveal what still needs attention, and instead of reacting, you reflect. That is growth. God cannot place you in a lifelong partnership if you are still being controlled by unhealed reactions. Marriage requires humility, communication, and accountability. God is teaching you how to pause, pray, and respond with wisdom. This is preparation. Another powerful sign is that you have become more comfortable with truth, even when it is uncomfortable. You no longer avoid difficult conversations. You no longer sugarcoat reality to keep peace. You value honesty more than approval. That matters. Marriage cannot survive without truth. God is shaping you into someone who can speak honestly without cruelty and receive correction without defensiveness. These are not natural traits. They are formed. And they are being formed in you now. You may also feel that your relationship with God has become more personal, less performative, less transactional. You are no longer trying to impress God with words. You are walking with Him, listening, obeying, resting. That intimacy matters because your future marriage will mirror your relationship with God. If your faith is shallow, your love will be unstable. If your faith is deep, your love will be anchored. God is not just preparing you for a person. He is preparing you for partnership under Him. Another sign is that you are no longer attracted to chaos. Drama exhausts you. Emotional highs and lows feel draining. You crave peace now, consistency, safety. That craving is holy. It is not boredom, it is maturity. God is aligning your desire with what lasts. Passion fades. Peace remains. And the person God is preparing for you will feel calm to your nervous system, not addictive to your emotions. They will not confuse you. They will not destabilize you. They will not make you question yourself. That kind of connection only feels attractive when you have been healed enough to recognize it. You may have also noticed that God has been teaching you how to be alone without feeling lonely. This is one of the most important preparations of all. Loneliness creates desperation. Desperation creates compromise. God has been teaching you how to enjoy your own company, how to build a life you love, how to sit in silence without anxiety. Because when you can be alone without feeling empty, you are ready to be with someone without losing yourself. Marriage is not two halves becoming whole. It is two whole people choosing unity. God prepares wholeness before union. Another sign is that God has been reducing noise in your life. Fewer opinions, smaller circles, less external influence. This is not isolation. This is focus. God removes unnecessary voices before major decisions. Marriage is one of the most significant decisions you will ever make. God wants your discernment sharp, not diluted. That is why He quieted your environment. That is why some friendships faded. That is why you feel more selective. God is protecting your ability to hear Him clearly. You may also feel that God had been strengthening your boundaries. You no longer feel guilty for saying no. You no longer overextend yourself to be liked. You no longer explain your standards to people who refuse to respect them. That is not hardness. That is wisdom. Boundaries protect covenant. If you could not enforce boundaries before marriage, you would suffer after it. God is teaching you now, so your future union is not strained later. Another sign is that your view of marriage itself has matured. You no longer see it as an escape, a rescue, or a reward. You see it as partnership, responsibility, service, and growth. You understand that love requires effort, forgiveness, and humility. This understanding did not come from theory. It came from experience. God allows chosen ones to learn deeply, so they love wisely. Your future spouse will recognize this depth immediately. You may also feel a strange sense of timing shifting. Things feel closer even though nothing visible has changed. This is spiritual alignment. God often aligns hearts before He aligns paths. That inner readiness is the signal. Heaven moves when hearts are prepared, not when circumstances look perfect. And right now, your heart is becoming steady, clear, and receptive. That is why the preparation feels intense. You are nearing completion. Another sign is that God has been removing illusions. You no longer believe love will fix everything. You no longer expect another person to carry your happiness. You understand that joy is cultivated, not delivered. This realism is not cynicism. It is wisdom. And wisdom is attractive to the kind of spouse God prepares for His chosen. You may also notice that God has been healing your relationship with trust. You trust yourself more. You trust God more. You no longer assume the worst. You no longer sabotage peace out of habit. This trust is essential. Marriage cannot survive constant suspicion. God is healing your ability to trust without becoming naive. That balance is rare, and it is necessary. Another sign is that your compassion has deepened without weakening your discernment. You understand people, but you do not excuse harmful behavior. You can empathize without enabling. That balance is crucial. Marriage requires grace and truth. God is forming, both in you. You may also feel that God has been aligning your future vision. You think differently about family, purpose, legacy. You are not just thinking about love. You are thinking about life, direction, impact. That matters because your spouse will share a future with you, not just feelings. God aligns vision before He aligns hearts. Chosen one, understand this. God does not prepare you for a spouse by exciting you. He prepares you by stabilizing you. He does not flood you with emotion. He grounds you in peace. He does not rush you. He roots you. And when preparation is complete, connection follows naturally, without force, without confusion, without fear. Your future spouse is not arriving to change you. They are arriving to walk with the version of you God has been forming. They will recognize your peace. They will respect your boundaries. They will align with your faith. They will not compete with your purpose. They will complement it. And you will recognize them not by butterflies, but by stillness, by safety, by clarity. That is how divine love announces itself. If your spirit feels steady right now, if this message feels grounding instead of overwhelming, that is confirmation. God is not playing with your heart. He is protecting it. He is preparing you for a love that does not require you to shrink, chase, or suffer. A love that feels like home, not uncertainty. Stay faithful. Stay grounded. Stay obedient. Preparation always precedes promise.